Hey guys, it's Spike. For this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I have a reason and a purpose for what I'm going to do for this video. Okay, so for this video, I am going to take on the perspective of a Christian to explain why someone can be gay and Christian. Now, some may wonder why I would do this. Why would I support this? Because I hate seeing people who believe in Christ or God think that they cannot be who they are because of their religion. And the thing is, these people believe their religion. So I would rather them to believe what they believe and be happy with who they are. And I think they should understand about their own religion, perhaps understand the context of what they say about homosexuality, and perhaps understand that, hey, maybe it doesn't stop me from loving God. Now, I'm going to stay away from the whole it's love argument, and I will use it slightly, but I think I want to try to prove this, or not prove this, but give a little context without just saying it's love. First of all, let me tackle possibly the hardest to tackle and most commonly used passage, which is Leviticus 18:22. I'm going to use the King James version. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination. Now, they were talking to to men, saying that they should not lie with mankind as they do with womankind. And let me give you a little bit of context for this. First of all, what we need to understand about homosexuality at that time was that it was not based on love. Generally, in that time, that was not what homosexuality was really was. It was generally men who were married and had wives that were, sleeping with men. And at that time, it was seen as very lustful and was practiced in the same way. It wasn't like, I'm in love with this man, or at least it wasn't seen as, I am in love with this man, so I am going to have sex with him as a manner of showing my love for him. It was, I'm attracted to men, and even though I have all these wives, I'd rather sleep with a man. And I think the significant difference is it's not love, it's a little bit more lust. And one other thing is in the Bible, there are multiple things explaining how a heterosexual relationship should happen. And homosexual relationships, actual relationships, didn't really exist at the time. It was homosexual sex, but there were no homosexual relationships based on love. It was simply seen as, a lustful relationship between two men. And I think understanding that context is important, because if you can love a man and you can love a man, that's different than what they considered homosexuality to be like in that time. In Romans 26 to 27, because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their perversion. Now, some see this as homosexuality being condemned, but from what it says here, I'm going on Wiki Answers. I know that's kind of lame, but what there's another explanation. It says the Greeks would often have orgies within their temple services. Greeks were usually often very open with sex in general, even homosexual relations, and it's questionable as to whether Paul was condemning the practices of homosexuality in general or condemning the practices of Greeks in their worship, and so so that itself is not like a homosexual relationship. It's temple orgies. So let's at least understand that. And second of all, Paul is a man. Paul was he was a man. His teachings were not those of Jesus Christ. Let's be clear here. Jesus himself never said a word about homosexuality. He never said that homosexuals would not be allowed into heaven. Paul's opinion is not Jesus' opinion. And this is, something we should note. And another part is it's written in Koine Greek. So when someone you know, like Paul, I think it is, yeah, I think like Paul has used terms that people have interpreted to mean homosexuality, but some people have actually interpreted to mean lustful homosexuality. And this is, it's hard to really know. And the question is, some people just don't like homosexuality in general, so they'll read it in the way of hoping to understand that. And there are really, I forget the words, but there are two ways to know it. I know one is exegesis, and I don't know what the other word is. But yes, let's see. Let's see. What else? One other thing to remember is the Bible was written by men. It had its points. Let's understand the context of the verse in Leviticus just a little bit, because this is a very common verse condemning homosexuality, possibly the most known. The Jews were trying to populate. They wanted to make a bigger people. Therefore, it would not be surprising if someone like Moses put in there, don't have sex with men. That way, the men have their libidos, and they'll want to do stuff with women, even if that's what they're not attracted to. And that would make that would make them repopulate. The Jews, that's why they allowed multiple wives, is because they wanted the people to populate, to create more Jews. They really wanted the religion, the belief to grow, because they thought they were, God's people. So there is a context to what they were saying then. And I will use a very simple argument right now that, look, the central message of the Bible is not based around anything such as homosexuality. I think that lustful homosexuality is really what it was getting at, and lustful relations in general is what it was saying was wrong. If you really look into it, that's what it is something that's based on lust rather than love. Some would argue that sex should only be for procreation, and that's an opinion. But sex is often used to express love. And I don't think that God would condemn that, even from a theistic perspective. I don't think that a God would condemn doing that in the name of love, in the name of, yeah, as long as you're not using it in a negative manner or in a manner of trying to harm somebody. For example, if you rape someone, that's disgusting. If you try to get somebody to do something they don't want to do, I think that that's much more of something that a God would condemn. But showing that you love someone or loving someone of the same gender, I like to think if there was a God, I personally am an atheist, but if there was a God, he would understand that. And the central message of the Bible is really just to love God, to love your neighbor, to be a good person, and there are some parts in it that would contradict that, not contradict that, but, there are some rules and, obscure verses in there. But I think that if you want to be a good person and be a good Christian, I think that's the basic idea. I think that as long as you try to be a good person, even if you're right about Christianity and God, if you love God and you love your neighbor, which is the central message of the Bible, he will not send you to hell. I am disgusted even by the idea of hell, but just my